So I've gone through and I'm on page 3 of our review sheet. I have done problem number 23. I am telling you that it is an exception and that we, in the confines of this class, are not covering that exception. So you're going to go ahead and you are going to leave this blank. I'm going to do number 25. This is an OR problem. This gives me a hint that my graph is going to look like rowboat oars. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. In order to get my v by itself on this problem, I'm going to divide by 2, because right now it's multiplying. I get v is less than 4. There's two choices. You can solve completely and then graph, or you can solve like one piece, graph it, solve the other piece, graph it. I'm going to solve one piece, graph it. So I get an open dot on 4 because there's no equal sign. I get it pointing off towards negative infinity. Over here, I'm going to multiply by 6 to get rid of that fraction. I'm going to multiply by 6. I get v is greater than or equal to 6. So I go ahead, I put a dot on 6. I fill it in because of that equal sign. I'm going to point it towards infinity because that's where that greater than sign points to. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do my interval notation for this. So as I go across, the first thing I hit is negative infinity. The second thing I hit is 4. Now, I have to go ahead and I have to end my parenthesis bracket stuff here. So, negative infinity always gets parentheses. 4 is going to get parentheses because it's an open circle. Okay. I'm going to write the word or because the word or was written there before. I'm going across and I hit 6 first. It'll go on and on and on till positive infinity. My 6 gets a bracket because it's a straight line equal sign or because it's colored in, your choice. And my infinity gets a parenthesis because it always gets a parenthesis. Okay. So on 27, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to rewrite my problems. Okay. So I have x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 2, or 6x is less than negative 24. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides here because I'm trying to get x by itself. I get x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay. Over here, in order to get something by itself, I'm going to divide by 6. I'm going to divide by 6. I get x is less than negative 8. So now I'm going to go ahead and graph both of my equations. Last time I solved one, graphed one, so on and so forth. I'm going to graph this one first. I'm looking to put my dot on negative 3. I'm looking to make it filled in because of the equal sign. I'm looking to point it all the way that way towards positive infinity. I'm going to do this one now. I'm going to start on negative 8. It's an open circle because there's no equal sign. And I'm going to point all the way this way in the direction of negative infinity. It's an or. It looks like 2 rowboat oars. Okay, which is good. I'm looking to do interval notation now. So as I come from left to right, I hit negative infinity first. Then I hit negative 8. My negative infinity gets parentheses because it always gets parentheses. My negative 8 gets parentheses because it's open. I write the word or. As I go from left to right, I see negative 3 first. Then I see infinity. Negative 3 gets a bracket because it has an equal sign or because it's colored in. It's a closed dot. And infinity gets a parenthesis because it always gets a parenthesis. It doesn't matter that that got a bracket. Okay. I want you to notice that this does kind of switch places where this one is actually for that graph. Okay. But that graph is listed first. Like as I read from left to right, the graph is listed first. We're going to list in that order from left to right. So I have another or. I'm going to rewrite it. I get n minus 1 is greater than or equal to negative 3, or 1 plus n is less than negative 5. I'm going to add 1 to both sides of this equation. I get n is greater than or equal to negative 2. Or I subtract 1 from this side, and I get n is less than negative 6. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to graph them. So I'm looking right here. I'm going to put my dot on negative 2. I'm going to color it in because it's equal. I'm going to point it off towards infinity. Okay. I'm looking here. I'm going to put it on negative 6. I'm going to leave it open because there's no equal sign. And I'm going to point it off towards negative infinity. So I get negative infinity, comma, negative 6. I put parentheses on both of these because it never equals negative infinity and because negative 6 is never equal to because of the open dot. Okay, that not equal to. I'm going to write the word or. I'm still going from left to right. Now I see negative 2, comma, infinity. Negative 2 is going to get a bracket because it has an equal sign there. Okay, it's filled in. And infinity gets a parenthesis. Again, you see these kind of flip-flop where that is actually going first because we read from left to right and the graph is more important than the order they listed the equations in. Okay. I'm going to go ahead because it looks like the even side was ands. Okay, I'm going to go through and do some of the even side. So I'm going to leave number 24 for you to do. It's an or. Number 26, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to rewrite. I get 7 is less than or equal to r plus 6 less than 11. I'm going to subtract 6 from each side. Okay? It must go to all 3 sides. This is the weird thing, the thing that's like weird and different and like freaks us out about these problems. Okay? You were taught in junior high to go ahead and put that line down in equal sign. Well, I'm telling you, there's 2 of them right now. There's 2 of those inequalities that you have to deal with. So I really get 3 sides of a problem, and it has to go to all 3 sides. So here it cancels, and I'm left with just r. My signs stay exactly the same because I haven't done anything with like a negative number dividing or multiplying. So I'm left with 5. I'm left with 1. I'm done because my r is all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a dot on 1. I'm going to color that dot in because it is an equal sign. I'm going to put a dot on 5. I'm going to leave it open. And then I'm going to color in between because I taught you that the trick is that r is in between those 2 numbers. Okay. Some teachers have taught you to separate them. I did a little bit on separating. If you like the separating piece better, then this will end up flipping. And it'll point that direction. and this will stay the same, and it'll point that direction, and so it still tells you to color in the inside. The hardest part about this is that that sign will flip so that it does point towards the inside. 28. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply by 6 on all 3 sides. And I just did something that's a little bit of my pet peeve, is like I didn't go and rewrite it, even though I knew I didn't have enough space to solve this myself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that whole step again. It goes to all 3 sides, all sides. I know we're so used to saying both, but guess what? There are 3 sides now. You have to deal with all 3 sides. This cancels. I get just a V. I'm going to put my signs in. I get 0 times 6 is 0. I get 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. I'm going to put a dot on negative 6. It's open. There's no equal sign. I'm going to put a dot on 0. It's closed. There is an equal sign. And I'm going to color in between because that's what it tells me to do. Something I didn't do above is I didn't go through and do that interval notation. Let's do that on both of these now. So my interval notation, as I come across, I hit positive 1 first. It ends at 5. My positive 1 is a closed circle, so it gets that closed bracket. It's got that straight line equal sign. It gets that straight line bracket. My 5 has an open circle, so it gets that open parenthesis look. And I'm done. Okay, so there's no 2 infinities here. It's just that little piece. Right here, as I go from left to right, I see the negative 6 first. I keep going, 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 going. I see the 0. I have a parenthesis, and then I have a bracket. Okay, the bracket comes from the straight line equal sign. So I get a straight line bracket or that closed dot that tells me that I get like that really closed look. Okay. I'm going to leave 30 for you to do, and extra credit if you can tell me what my mistake was in this video. There is a mistake. You can probably easily figure out what question it's on because the answer is wrong compared to the answer key. But there is a mistake. It was purposefully made. I want to know, can you fix that graph?